Hi friends, this is the lesson number 12 in the series of British literature. In the previous lesson we talked about some of the historical conditions and political situations of England and during the age of Chaucer. So age of Chaucer means the period roughly between 1300 to 1400. Okay, there is no particular specification. 1330 can be taken as well, and in that period we have one literary giant figure, and that is Sir Geoffrey Chaucer. So we are now going to discuss some of the life events of Sir Geoffrey Chaucer, and in the next lesson we shall be talking about some of his prominent works. So the first, he was born somewhere around 1343 or so, 43 or so it's not exactly known, in London, and died 1400 exactly, and he was buried to the place that is called as Westminster Abbey in London. Westminster Abbey. This is a very high class or a very reputed place because before him, or we can say he was the first poet to be buried there. Earlier, there were the prominent figures or the kings or the politicians. They used to be buried there. But among the poets, we have Geoffrey Chaucer as the first poet or writer to be buried there. In his life, his wife name is Philippa de Roth. Okay, there are some factual things if you wish to note down. And then during his time, there were the three kings England had: Edward III, Richard II, Henry IV. Okay, we shall be talking about these kings when we talk about England's history in the upcoming lessons. And furthermore, we have his son name is Thomas Chaucer, and his daughter name is Elizabeth Chaucer. And now, Geoffrey Chaucer was a politically influential figure. How? The King Edward III had a wife and a son. The name of the son is John of Gaunt. So King's son is John of Gaunt, and the wife of the son is Catherine Swainford. And Philippa de Roth, wife of Chaucer, was the sister of Catherine Swainford. So he was somewhere in relation to the son of the king. So that really helped him in his life. And now we talk about his means how he developed throughout his life. In the first period, means up to 1370, we can talk about this. He had the influence of French literature because he had gone to France even. We know that that time there was a 100-year war going on, and during that or even after that, he went to uh, in between to France, because we all know that when Indians were fighting against in their independence struggle against the English people, some of the Indians got access to go abroad, or they went to America, to England, however, to arrange some support and get freedom. So similar was the situation with Sir Geoffrey Chaucer. He went to France, and he was there arrested, and then he was caught there for some ransom or whatever the allegations were. Then the King Edward III, he helped him to get released. So the political influence he had really helped him to get saved from the French authorities. And he also served as the servant to Countess Elizabeth Ulster in the early period of his life. In 1366, he married Philippa de Roth. So in the first 20-25 years, he had some participation in the struggle of their freedom, or we can say in the 100-year war. And 1366, he got married. And then the second phase of his life we see as from the literary point of view, from 1370 to 1385. For those 15 years, he worked on the Italian literature. He made diplomatic visits first to France and then to Italy, Spain, and other countries. There he worked and read the works of Dante, Petrarch, and Boccaccio. These are the prominent figures of European literature. Dante, Petrarch, Boccaccio, their names will also be reflecting in whenever we will be referring any poem to the history, such names would be there. So when we study European literature, then you will come to know about these writers who was Dante, Petrarch, and Boccaccio. Now, in the third phase of his life, he adapted English as a language for writing things, and from the period of 1385 to his death, means till 1400, he used English language. And during that period, he came back to England first from his visits to European countries. After coming back, he served on several reputed places, or I should say the reputed posts. So I would like to mention some of them. He served as the Justice of Peace and Member of Parliament, representing Kent. So he was representing a place called as Kent. He was elected in the House of Commons, means in the England's Parliament in 1386. He uh, he became the clerk of King's work in 1389, means he in some position to the king. And then he was a deputy forester of King's Forest in 1391. So he was means having some influential post, and he was a very important figure, not just a literary point of view, but also having some hold in the political levels. So most importantly, three things to be remembered, or one thing to be remembered, that he wrote, or he had work in three languages. First phase of his life was about French language, where he studied and wrote in French. Then he wrote in Italian, and in the third phase of his life, he wrote in English. And now about the characteristics of his works and some of the key points, I would like to mention that first. Geoffrey Chaucer was also called as the father of English literature, and he was the first poet to prefer English language over the Latin and French. First poet to prefer English over French and Latin. Second, London dialect, a specific dialect that is called as the East Midland dialect. East Midland dialect. It is the base of the modern day English. This is the question also asked in UGC Nest. East Midland dialect of London is the base, or from this dialect the modern day English is developed. And next he introduced rhyme and rhythm in the poetry. And the specific rhyme or rhythm he used to follow is also called as the rhyme and royale, or royal, whatever the pronunciation you make. So we talk about what is rhyme and royale in the next section, or maybe in the next lesson. Now moving further, about the themes, we mostly see that any poet used to be a bit moralist, because he just talk about the moral or good things. But when is the case of Sir Geoffrey Chaucer, he wasn't a moralist. He just portrays the man as he saw him. About him, it is said that he portrays the mankind and love for mankind. He had portrayed all varieties of characters, means not just a particular variety, means every, whether it's a vices or good things of the society, he had portrayed them. Now, some of the poets have some things to say about Chaucer. So, Thomas Hoccleve, we shall be talking about this as well in upcoming lessons. Thomas Hoccleve held Geoffrey Chaucer as the first founder of fair language. So, these are the just quotations or the words, so we just have to repeat them as it is. Chaucer is the first founder of the fair language, said by Thomas Hoccleve. Then Chaucer is the lord of the language. Okay, so it's again praising. So the lord of language is said by John Lydgate, about him also we shall study in the upcoming lessons. So for the moment you just take their names, you just write their names as it is. And it is said in the work Fall of Princes. Fall of Princes is a work written by John Lydgate, and in that work he is praising Chaucer by saying that Chaucer is the lord of the language. John Dryden, another writer, he described him as Chaucer is the major English poet who is like a rough diamond. Chaucer is the major English poet who is like a rough diamond which must be polished first in order to shine. So he is somewhere finding faults in Chaucer as well. He says that there are good qualities like a diamond, but he must be polished first. And then one more, Philip Sidney, very famous name, Philip Sidney. What he says, he praises his work. Chaucer has written a work named Troilus and Cresside. It is based on the Trojan War. It is behind the scenes of the Trojan War, Troilus and Cresside. We shall be talking about this very interesting work. You will definitely enjoy this work. Troilus and Cresside. In that work, that work is referenced by Philip Sidney in his work Defense of Poesy. So, Philip Sidney, as a critic, has written a work Defense of Poesy, and in that work he is praising the work Troilus and Cresside. And now, before finishing this lesson, I think I should talk a bit about the rhyme royale, the writing style developed by him. Rhyme royale, what is that? It is a 7-line iambic pentameter. What is pentameter, iambic? And I think for this I have to make a separate lesson. Pretty soon I shall make, but for the moment you just remember that it is a 7-line stanza, and the rhyming form is like A B A B B C C C. You can see on the screen A B A B B C C. This is the rhyming style in this stanza, and it was first used by Chaucer in Troilus and Cresside, and later he used it in the Parliament of Fowls. And it is said that it is derived from the Kingi Square. It is a book, and from that it is driven. So the base of rhyme royale is from Kingi Square. And further, one more point to be noted, Shakespeare used this rhyme royale. Shakespeare used this in Rape of Lucrece, and later John Milton, William Morris, or John Mosfield, such writers also practiced this style of writing. So rhyme royale basically 7-line iambic pentameter, and must to remember A B A B B C C. So that's all about the life of Sir Geoffrey Chaucer, and in the next lesson we shall be talking about his major works, and you will definitely find them interesting. Thanks for watching this lesson. Have a nice day.